Welcome to Tech Talk Nation, talking about the latest tech, industry news, and hot topics. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit our website at techtalknation.com.
Good evening and welcome to Tech Talk Nation. I'm your host, Matt Fitzgerald, and we have a wonderful show for you tonight. It's been a little bit of a break between our last episode here, but we are back. We're having a good time tonight, and I'm still a little under the weather, but we're getting there, and we have a lot to talk to you about because a lot has happened and a lot is going to happen in the upcoming week. So I am joined once again, as usual, by my wonderful co-hosts, Matt Grislow and Ryan Eastman. How are you guys tonight?
I'm phenomenal, and I also realized I have to go get something, so I'll be right back.
Uh-oh.
And I am also well.
Good. Do you have to go get something?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, wow.
I came
You actually came prepared for this. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Whatever.
That's what they call me. They call me Mr.
I get it. I get a little hate just because, I want to do something extra special here. Whatever. Well, while I do have the floor here, I do want to say for all of our viewers, well, thank you for watching, everyone that watches live and watches after the fact. But also, we are getting our social media up. So if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can follow us at, I believe we're at, Tech Talk Nation?
Yes, Tech Talk Nation, I believe we are.
Should be the same on all platforms, right?
It should be.
So,
I think Twitter.
YouTube, Instagram, Twitter?
I think Twitter, it's a little different because I wasn't able to get the same thing, but...
All right. Well, at the end of the pod, I will replug our social media. But we're going to be posting some bios in our feed about the three of our co-hosts here, and then we'll also be posting on our story when we go live, so that you guys are up to date. So turn on your post notifications to get notified for when we go live. We're trying to keep a schedule here to make it easier for everyone. But I mean, as you all know, it just kind of life happens, and so we're trying to make it a little better for people to get engaged with us and to get more people into the nation here. So
exactly.
So yeah, follow us on there, and more content to come.
Wonderful. Well, now that we got that announcement out of the way here, the next thing, or actually the first thing that I wanted to talk about, Ryan really is excited about. And I know why you are. Because this is a lot of cool stuff that's coming with with Nvidia here. So let me switch over to the browser here. Nvidia is paving the way for RTX GPU Chromebooks with a new ARM demo. So long story short, Nvidia had a proof where they used an ARM processor, so not your normal notebook processor, like a phone processor, to run a card with RTX, a graphics card. So one of those really expensive RTX 3080s or something like that, we are now able to run on the same processor that a phone uses. So I probably missed a fair bit of stuff with this, but what's your thoughts on that, Ryan?
I mean, yeah, ARM is typically used for phones, but don't forget that Apple just came out with desktop's a strong word. Laptop grade silicon for ARM. So, I mean, that's one thing anyway. But regardless of that, I'm excited about it because, for those who don't know, Chrome OS runs off Linux, and Linux has historically had a little trouble with gaming. But it looks like with Nvidia putting their weight behind that, that's kind of a signal that could change a little bit. And that makes me very happy, but no one else cares about that but me.
Hey, a lot of people do, and that could be really good with a lot of the stuff coming out soon. So we'll see. With Nvidia behind an ARM chip, there's some cool stuff coming down the pipeline for Steam, I know. So we'll see if that actually goes through. So
yeah, regardless of that, it's also a chance for, I guess, Microsoft to try and make their stuff run on ARM again.
Right.
It didn't go so hot the first time, but they can do that again. And, ARM processors do tend to be more power efficient. So,
Yep.
better batteries, theoretically better performance. I mean, win-win.
What's not to like? What's not to like?
Oh yeah, I just like the idea that was it RTX or GTX 3080?
RTX.
RTX, yeah. Well, you can tell I'm not a big gamer or PC builder, but I just like the idea that power is starting to be packaged in a smaller form, so much so that you can pack it into a laptop. Gaming laptops, I can only imagine the amount of performance you can pull out of those things. I remember in college, well, and I say it like it was 30 years ago, even though it was 6 months ago or 7 months ago, whatever it was. These guys would lug these big, bulky laptops around, and they were very powerful. But imagine a tiny little 3080 in there. That thing would be a beast, to say the least. So I'm excited. Consumer electronics are only going to get better, and they only are getting better, and we're seeing it every day. So I'm excited.
I agree. And one other thing that I'm going to kind of transition to the next story here with this, but we're seeing these computers becoming thinner. We're seeing these computers become more mobile friendly. We're seeing them become a lot better. And a new thing that Microsoft is now doing, and I think you'll hear about this, Ryan. But Microsoft revealed what it will cost to run Windows 365 on your iPad. So long story short, with this article here, thank you to BGR for this article, wonderful. But long story short, Microsoft is releasing a new Microsoft 365, or sorry, Windows 365 subscription service that is going to be targeting more your business users and stuff like that. Um, but long story short, this takes an old Microsoft technology that they've been using for years and years in the business setting, and basically bring it to either other business, like smaller businesses that can't necessarily afford the architecture, or businesses like even end users who want this technology. Long story short, what you're doing is your iPad is connecting to a virtual server in the cloud. So you have a little chunk of Microsoft's cloud that your iPad or whatever you're accessing the software on is able to connect to. Microsoft traditionally calls this, I believe, VDI or RDS, something along the lines of that. But basically, it allows every Windows user to share almost the same installation of Windows. I don't know how to properly describe it other than a bunch of people can access company server on very, very powerful computer. A lot easier than buying a bajillion really, really expensive computers. So I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's cool, personally.
Yeah, so that's 365 in the cloud, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I
Right.
really like this idea. I mean, Fitz, we were talking, what was it, Saturday about this?
Mhm.
While, yes, I love my Apple products, they have limitations, right? There's a reason why, these sort of services are being brought over to iOS and other OSs. And so I'm excited about this because I'm looking to sort of be able to do like code, a little bit of code, light code work, using like Notepad Plus, and then remote in using my iPad, which can already remote connect or Bluetooth connect to keyboard and mouse. And right now, the only thing that's holding me back is the ability to have Notepad Plus or whatever it is on my iPad, which you can't really do. And so if I'm able to, for a small price per month, remote into a computer that I have here, and that can actually just use the desktop anyway when I'm at home, I'm really excited. This is something I'm really happy about, and I'm really looking forward to it. We were already, Fitz and I were already trying to brainstorm how to do it as is without Windows 11. But I'm really excited about this. I think it brings a lot of more opportunities to use Windows to a lot of different companies who can use really cheap iPads, the standard like lower tier base model that's even I think they're selling for something like $300 to $400. The ones that still have the Touch ID or just the button, the home button.
Yeah, the Air too.
Yeah. The Air already. The Air. I thought the new Air already had Face ID.
Probably does. Probably has that.
I believe it does. Either way, they have a lower cost model, just the iPad is what they call it, with no other like surname to it, and it's the cheapest model they have right now. And I can see that now being purchased much more widely by different companies, and then them just paying for this service for their employees. And I guarantee there's going to be some sort of enterprise discount, and so it really will just make sense. And I think in a lot of different applications. But we'll see.
It full Windows on an iPad?
Yes. That's the thing that's
Oh,
really
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, huh. Like that.
Yeah.
Well, the way that this software kind of works is you can do this now, and that's what Grislow and I were talking about, where you can do this now through either a protocol like VNC or RDP
Yeah.
or something along the lines of that, using a software like
remote into
TeamViewer.
a server that's running it for you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Some other hardware that's running the code. So
Mhm.
all your device is acting as what in the industry is known as a thin client. All you're doing is you're brokering a connection between your device and the complex compute the powerful computer that's actually running that. So
Yeah.
And you know what? I can see this even being applicable for schools too. I know a lot of schools are giving out iPads right now, and they're limited to the OS that's on them, right? And some schools give out Chromebooks or whatever, and again, they're limited to the OS that's on them right now. There's some applications that run on one that don't run on the other. Some run on both, but I really like this idea that you can use both OSs on the same hardware. I guess we still have to see how well this new program runs in terms of functionality and how efficient it is, and if it's really clunky or whatever. If it uses too much bandwidth or whatever, but I'm really excited about this, especially if it can come at a good cost.
I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, but Microsoft has been streaming games now for a while through their xCloud service. And obviously that's much more intensive, I think, than actually streaming a Windows instance because of, the type of bandwidth a game actually takes up. And they've been streaming it for a while too. I've even used it a bit. It's pretty good. Getting like really responsive stuff out of it's still tricky.
Right. Well,
but when you scale that back to an actual OS, which is a lot smaller than, running some game at who knows what FPS,
and much less visually intensive. That's the big thing.
Yeah, almost no GPU versus all GPU.
Right. And the cool thing about this, in my opinion, is having the ability to run that software, do those enterprise applications straight off of an iPad or any device in that, for that matter. Like if I pick up my phone and I can just go on a Windows computer, like that's awesome. It's going to be clunky and painful, but it can work in a pinch if you need it. So I'm excited. I want to see what this is looking like, and hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on something to test out with that, because I've worked with a lot of Microsoft Azure, which is their big cloud thing, and their servers are very nice. They work well for me, and it's cool to just kind of see, they're bringing this to a different market, and I like it.
Yeah. Although as far as the coding on an iPad thing is, I think Apple has Xcode on it or X something like that, but it's not quite full featured the way it probably should be.
It's trying,
considering how powerful they are now.
Right, definitely. Cool. Well, moving on, we have another article here about Apple. Actually, Apple is supposed.
Subject.
Oh, and you're gonna like this one even better, Ryan. Apple is supposedly cracking down on remote work. It says they people couldn't work from home, and basically it was like a whistleblower in Slack or something like that, and they're basically like kind of snubbing people with accommodations, I guess. But I didn't read this article in its full entirety, but it seems interesting to say the least. But that begs the question too: if Apple's cracking down on work remotely, is that going to cause other companies to?
See, I think it's interesting that they're cracking down on this, um, especially because a lot of other companies in Silicon Valley um, seem to be enjoying and almost encouraging a more work from home environment. I understand, especially as someone who does work with software, how important it is to be in person with teams and how the dynamic is different on a video call versus in person, especially for someone who did start his current job fully remote. Um, but I do understand the need and the desire for the higher ups at Apple to want people to return in person. I think the problem that they're running into, um, I really think that one of the problems that a lot of companies, especially Apple, is running into right now is that the pandemic has either forced or sort of made companies more strongly consider the idea of working from home, and they've done this for so long, and people now have gotten really comfortable with working at home. I started my job on my current job working from home, and now we're in this like hybrid situation, which I'm very grateful for. And it sounds like this is what Apple's doing as well, but it sounds like Apple's employees really weren't happy with the idea of going back to a semi, sort of before the pandemic work lifestyle or work style. Um, and I'm sure this is not going to be the only company where you see customers, or I'm sorry, employees unhappy. But you know what? You got to take it on the chin. That's the way the world works. In the instances of the ADA accommodations, I do think that's a bit much. And it doesn't seem like something that Apple will want to continue to be out there as something in the news. They don't want bad press. And really, at the end of the day, it is bad press. They care about their people, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure they do. However, I feel like the way that they're treating this, Tim Cook, at least from what I've heard and read, seems like he's taking a more of a Steve Jobs approach to this, and more of, I don't want to say an iron fist, but a more firm approach to this return to a quote unquote new normal.
I think they have every right to say, hey, productivity's down. You guys aren't meeting, whatever goals we set from working from home. You need to come back in. I mean, to me, that makes just about perfect sense, unless you have some very specific health thing where it's like, oh, by the way, this puts me in this high risk category for whatever reason, and I haven't gotten vaccinated somehow. But I don't know. I personally, just speaking for myself, hate working from home. I just feel everything's less efficient, less productive. It's way better just to get 4 people around a whiteboard and just hash out a problem. There are people who work really well from home, and if you let them keep working from home, they might even work better. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I just know from
definitely.
like a personal thing, I don't think that's the
I agree.
majority of people. That's a very like actualized and like focused person who doesn't need a change of environment to like be able to zero in on what they should be doing.
Yeah, I think that some of the people I think that do work better from home might be people that, and I honestly find this to be the case for me sometimes, are the people that have better at home setups. They have better
Oh
monitors,
yeah.
bigger monitors, more I/O, whatever. If your work setup is good, then your workflow and productivity will also go up. And maybe it's the case where these companies need to invest more in their at work setups, more monitors, more whatever. Um, and I'm sure Apple, if that's the case for Apple, and that's the biggest complaint, they won't have a problem throwing money at it. They can blow a
Right.
few,
Sure.
they could blow a few dollars on that, right? But I think what you had to say, Ryan, is very true. The productivity is a big thing. If your productivity's down, your company's not going to do well because you're not putting out enough product. You're not doing enough R&D, testing, whatever it is. And some things have to be done, in person. So
I don't know.
it
I
is what
think
it is.
there is no substitute for 5 people gathered on a chalkboard or a whiteboard.
I agree.
I agree.
I'm totally with you.
There you go. Definitely. Well, speaking of spending a few bucks here, uh, Grislow, you sent in this article here. This is about Apple's iPhone 12 MagSafe battery pack versus the other alternatives that are out there. I'll be honest
Yes.
with you, I didn't even realize Apple had this. Like, I did not know that. So,
Yeah. So I mean, I could take this.
yeah, you
So
you
and
take it
it's
away.
funny enough that you said that you didn't know Apple had one because I didn't know Mophie even had a battery pack. It seems like the first one that came out that I was aware of was Anchor back in I think March. Apparently Mophie came out with theirs um, in June, and now Apple came out with theirs. It was just revealed last week, so I'm not gonna pester you for why didn't you know about this, right? It's a brand new product they did just reveal, and they also did this very silently. There was no press release. There was nothing. It just went up on their website, and they've done this from time to time. I think they may have done this with their AirPods Max. So this is not something they haven't done before. If you want to pop up the screen from the article,
Give me
I can
one
talk a
second
little bit
here.
about it.
Which one?
But yeah,
The
so
chart?
just the article, yeah, and there's
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
charts you can scroll down there. Yeah, so it's interesting because typically Apple puts out a very high priced product that's okay, and then the third party accessory makers go, hold my beer, we could do better. And so it's I thought that's what they had done, but after reading this, I'm not quite sure. The problem is though, Apple didn't put out a ton of information about their batteries, which they usually don't, even with their phones. If you'd like to scroll down, I can go a little bit more into this.
Sure.
And so, yeah, so we get started with that chart here. And so, yeah, there's some differences. The biggest difference is price. The other two competitors are about half or less than half the price. Apple's is starting at about $100, and their competitors are starting at 46 and 50 bucks. So that's a big difference. Then we look at kind of the actual specifics about the battery. I had thought that, and because I didn't know about the Mophie battery pack, I had thought that the Anchor one would be superior. However, it does seem like the Mophie one, in terms of amount of charges, actually is the better one. All the Apple stuff is based off of estimates. But there is
By
an interesting
5%.
thing that I do want to touch on with the Apple one. So you can see, the breakdowns of the charge, how many charges you can get for the different newest iPhones, right? The important thing to know here, though, is that the Apple one is not a external charger per se, at least in terms of charging other things. The Apple one is a Lightning charge port, and the others have USB-C ports. And because of that, the Apple one, unlike the other two, cannot also deliver power to anything else. So it can only power your iPhone. If you like to scroll down a bit. So they talk about efficiencies and stuff. And it seems like, based off of the numbers they gave, around about estimates about the voltages, the batteries, that the Apple one is actually a bit more efficient at about 70% versus the others at, I believe, like 60. But here's a really interesting thing here, the output. So even though Apple's only will be able to charge your phone, the one thing that it can do, the others can't do, is charge it at a higher speed. So it all charges wirelessly your phone at 5 watts. But the cool thing about the Apple one is that when you plug it in, a lightning cable into the battery pack that's already on your back of your phone and attached, it charges at 15 watts. And so it is a much higher increased power. And I think that can draw people to this product more so than the other two. The only problem is, again, it's going to be $100. And so you kind of have to do like a give and take there if you really want to spend the extra money for the higher power. I guess the trade-off that I can see is take the Apple one, and you have the opportunity to charge at 15 watts, so much higher, 3 times the speed or the power than the other two, or you swap for the lower price one, and you have the ability to use that battery pack, that MagSafe charger, also as an external battery for other products. So it's a give and take. Apple just came out this last week, so not many people have their hands on them. I don't have one, a phone that can even use MagSafe, so I can't really say I'll buy it and review it. Maybe if I upgrade this fall, then I would consider doing it. But
If you need the
that's
excuse.
yeah, that's the deal on the new MagSafe battery pack. What do you guys think? Any thoughts, reactions?
Cool. Like, honestly, I think it's a cool idea. It's the MagSafe concept is pretty cool. I just still don't know if I'd shell out the $100 for an Apple one though. I mean, it's one of those things where you obviously have to figure out what's worth it to you, but it's one of those things where, for me at least, I'd consider the other options.
I'm wondering what tech specs Apple passed on to everyone else because
Hmm.
I know that specifically Anchor has like a ton of just wireless 10-watt chargers. Like they make those and they're like 15 to, or probably more like 20 to $30. And they're just all over the place. So I'd be shocked that they don't have like 10 watts at least.
I think the problem right now is specifically the MagSafe part. See, it doesn't really make sense to me because the MagSafe really is just it's an array of magnets.
Yeah.
Um,
All it does is align stuff.
yeah, I do think though that it's got to be in the software for the product, right? Apple's
It
got to
could be.
have some sort of ability to not throttle but limit other products' ability to send more power.
Yeah.
If
Well-
that's the case. But one thing to keep in mind though is that it's an Apple made product. Apple has always been very good at tailoring their accessories to their products and make them
Very
really
true.
good.
And
Right?
also, just real quick side note, we have seen Apple do this in the past too, with some of the other stuff we've talked about on the show, where Apple unlocks hardware for themselves that they don't unlock for third parties. I
Yep.
think
Yeah, like the
there was an
W1
issue.
chip is the easiest example.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. So you have that conundrum there too, where it's almost like, is Apple even giving third-party vendors a chance against them?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
third-party vendors have a bigger bank for sure. Battery bank, that is. Sorry, not more money.
I was gonna be
Clearly,
like,
Apple has more money. No,
I mean,
battery bank.
Mophie and Anchor, they got a good chunk of change in their hands, but nowhere
Oh,
near
yeah.
as much as Apple.
No, you can't touch
And
it.
I probably should look at this a little bit more before I say it's to be true. But I do remember reading that this is the first time. I don't know if you have to have your phone at 100% and plugged in to be able to do this, but with this product, this is the first time that there's going to be reverse charging with the phone. That being, your phone is actually the one that's charging the MagSafe attached battery pack. I don't know what the specifics are on it. If you have to have it plugged in, but it has to be at above a certain percentage, 80, 100%, whatever it is. But that being said, I really think that I'm seeing that. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that Apple takes the opportunity this fall to finally release reverse wireless charging for their phones for bigger devices like other iPhones. We've seen it with Android. We've seen it with Samsung. I don't know why it's taking Apple this long to do it. It's one of those features where it just makes sense, right?
You got 3 years.
If you can wirelessly charge the phone, why can't you wirelessly charge another phone with the phone? It just makes sense. And I don't know why
we got widgets like barely a year or two ago. What are you expecting?
We've had wireless charging technology since the iPhone 8 came out with the iPhone 10. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, around there. Didn't come out with reverse wireless charging at the time. I figured they would do it in a year or two once they've figured out the wireless charging situation. Excuse me. They still haven't done it. So fingers crossed. This is the time that they realize it works, and it works well. Even if it's at a lower wattage, like 5 watts wireless charging or reverse wireless charging, do it. Do it.
Do it.
Pull the trigger. they started wireless charging with these phones at 7.5 watts. The new ones charge much higher.
Oh yeah.
So even if they limited it to 5 watts, 7.5 watts even, do it.
Do it.
My favorite is OnePlus has a, I think it's a 60-watt wireless charger.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. It's huge. Like it is huge.
Oh yeah, it has a
So-
fan. That's a stupid
Yeah,
amount
Yeah.
of energy to move.
Yeah, how loud is that thing?
It's a little loud. Yeah.
I think you probably could have stopped at
Or wait,
30
I
watts
think
and been
mine I
fine.
think mine's 45 or 50. All I know is it gets hot.
That sounds right.
Like
Yeah, I think you could
Yeah.
have stopped at like 30 watts on wireless and been fine.
yeah,
Save the like 65 watt for like a, in-wall charger.
definitely.
And see, like, you don't really need 45 watts to wirelessly charge, even charge an iPhone or a phone, period. They charge fast enough already with,
Oh, no, they don't.
18
You know the
watts, 30
difference.
watts.
Nothing's
no,
Why
fast
do you need to
enough,
go more
trust
than
me.
that?
I can tell the
What do you
difference. I had like a 10 watt or a 15 watt charger, and I, put it into my 30, 35 watt, and ooh, it makes such a difference.
So yes, I am not going to tell you it does not make a difference. It absolutely does. Based off pure numbers, it absolutely does.
Here's the thing. It makes a difference in my charging habits. That's how significant it is.
I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, does it ultimately make a difference? What I mean by that is, yes, it is charging it faster, but do you really need it to charge that fast? Are you ever been in a situation or enough situations
Yes.
to justify you needing a 30-watt charger for your phone versus, let's say, especially in my case, for example, an 18-watt charger?
Yes.
I charged my phone, I think, today at 18 watts for about 20 minutes. It went from, I think, about 20% to 60% or 65% in 20 minutes. That was all I needed. Just need a quick charge. I needed to juice up just to make sure, because I was going out to work out, I needed to make sure my phone wouldn't die for whatever reason because I was streaming music, and it worked just fine. I get the quick charge thing, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge advocate for quick charging. That being said, I'm not sure if we really need, or should be saying the standard should be set at 30, 45,
I think
50, 50 watt wireless charging.
There you go.
And not just because I'm not sure if we need it, but because the wired charging could go quicker and much faster anyway. It's much more
Oh,
efficient.
that's what I have. That's what I mean.
Oh,
Wireless charging doesn't need to hit 30. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm
If
not
you're
sure if we
speaking
need wireless charging to go that.
about wireless, I can get on board for that.
Yeah.
For wired, I'm happy with it being ridiculously fast because it changes how I schedule charging my phone.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
Like
literally
today,
means I can wake up and put my phone on the charger, and it'll be at 90 when I take it off to leave for work.
yeah, absolutely. Like when I said I was charging my phone at 18 watts, that was on just a wall charger, lightning cable straight in my phone. My phone is limited to 18 watts fast charging, so that's the fastest I can put it to. But like I said, it's exactly what I needed, and I would love to have gotten higher battery percentage out of it in that 20 minutes time. But I think it's perfectly great, and I think even better is good. But for wireless, I'm not quite sure.
For wireless, the heat trade-off isn't worth it.
Yeah, and I think also I'm not sure if at least right now, I'm not sure if the casual phone consumer is really trying to get a really high-powered wireless charger. I think they're probably going for more of the fast charging cable chargers.
No, I
So
think
it makes sense, right?
Wireless charging's your thing. That's fine and all that. Use that. I don't have it on my phone, and I've never felt like I needed it because literally, like, it's never inconvenienced to me because of how quickly my phone charges.
Yeah, I will say I really like wireless charging, specifically when I'm at work, because sometimes I have to get up and go somewhere, and I always have to have my phone on me and charged up if I need to take a call, get a text from one of my team members or a Teams, notification. So the ability to just drop my phone on a pad, have it charge, and then just say, okay, I got to go check a building in a room somewhere and just pick up my phone and go.
Yeah.
That part of it is really, really nice. I love that. And that's kind of like the big allure to wireless charging, right? It's really easy. Just you drop your phone, charge, pick it up, and
Yeah.
go.
See, I'm on the other end though, where I just don't need to charge it because in the morning it hits 100.
Yeah.
I end the day with 30% and I'm good.
There you
I
go.
mean, mine's probably around that right now too. I need the peace of mind.
Eh.
Yeah, definitely.
I
There
can't
you
live on the edge
go.
like you, Ryan.
I like to live on the edge.
There you go.
I
Well,
live dangerously.
speaking of living dangerously, Tesla is closing its first supercharger station ever over, quote, security concerns. And when I say living on the danger, or the edge of danger there, this supercharger location is like in the back of like Tesla's headquarters. You have to go like around the building through this like shady alley to get to it. And Tesla's like, yeah, we should probably close that down now. And basically they say that they're going to close the supercharger down. Um, and supposedly the showroom across the street, like in that same complex thing, uh, we're going to like that's where Tesla works on a lot of their projects and stuff like that. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see what they do with that now that it's not going to be um, supercharged land, I guess. So,
I mean, they have a new supercharger across the way now,
yep.
and it actually closed. That first one closed today.
Oh, it is
I
today.
just think
Huh.
I just think it's a little silly that they thought that they could get away with putting a supercharger where they put it, and not only did they put it in an area where the holding room was a room right off of the lobby in the building where they would have meeting rooms for where Tesla employees would be making a lot of and producing and designing a lot of their new products. And so, there's a lot of secret stuff that shouldn't be seen by the general consumer. But they had to go through the back of the SpaceX headquarters building to do it.
Right.
And so it just doesn't make any sense to me that they would put it there in the first place. The last thing you would want is for someone to be in your headquarters of your building and snooping around. And they already mentioned in the article, they had potential cases where people were using their phones when they shouldn't be, when there were signs posted that you shouldn't use your phones, or where people were potentially walking around when there was no attendant in the room and trying to get a peek at what Tesla was working on. I just think it was a silly mistake, although I do think it is funny, or not funny, but interesting to note that apparently when Elon Musk was approached with the request to shut down this facility in favor of opening one across the street, he was a little not disappointed, but it sounded like it wasn't what he wanted to do, or it wasn't an option he would have wanted, but one that he did ultimately agree with was a good idea. So it's very interesting. I would not think of CEO of a company like that would want, or even have a thought in his head that, oh, I really would like, consumers to be charging their cars and coming in and potentially seeing our company secrets, right?
It's not that he wants that. I think it's nostalgia.
On that, yeah, I agree with
Granted,
Ryan.
he bought the company and all that, but like, it's still, like, this was one of the first things.
And there's one of these Supercharger Obelisk things here.
Yeah,
they
the
call it like
tower.
a Supercharger tower. But yeah, I could see it. Like, it's sentimental. So
yeah, I think what it probably was just like an expediency thing. Like, it was just easier to put it there. They had to do less like filing with the city and all that. That'd be my best guess.
Probably.
I mean, that makes sense, especially since it was their first one. They were probably going with the easiest route of, okay, how can we build this infrastructure out? What's the quickest way to do it, or whatever. But yeah, I do think it's a little silly considering how long it's been there, that it took this long for them to go, okay, maybe this isn't in our best interest as a company.
Right. Hey, who knows? So somebody on live chat here goes, hot take, Teslas are overrated. Drove one and someone cut me off. Kid you not, the car stopped in that track. Kid you not, stopped the car in its tracks and turned off. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see.
I don't want.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see if they're overrated. They have a new feature here. It's autopilot-based smart shift to Model 3 and Model Y. So something that was originally available on the Model S and the Model X, they're actually bringing that over to its lower end uh,
What?
lower end models here. We'll see how it's going.
I'm
Well,
confused.
Yeah.
What's smart
okay,
shift?
so
Because you don't shift on an electric car. That's why it's so good.
so what happened was they had these like paddle shifters or whatever on I think the steering wheel, and that was standard on all their cars. And then starting with the newest Model S and newest Model X's, they removed that and as the standard feature removed it and put it in software as like these force touch buttons. Now what they're doing is with the lower budget Model 3 and Model Y is it's becoming an option. It's not going to be standard. And so you have the ability to do this, but it's not going to be standard. And I do think that will be good for some people. At the end of the day, though, my opinions on this, I still really firmly believe that this option should not be a standard on, well, it just should not be a standard on any of their vehicles. It should be an option. And not only an option, it should only be on the option, which I think it is the option on the lower models, the full self-driving cars. The whole point of this is to automate the car. This to me seems like a feature that should not be in a semi-autonomous sort of setting or setup or configuration, right? To me, it just makes sense for if you're going all out autopilot and all out self-driving, that should be on there. If you do not have that as an option, you do not buy that package, it should not be in the car and that should not be standard. That's just my opinion. If you're going to go all out software in autopilot, that's its own thing. But if you're not going to do that and that's not what you want to do, you should have those buttons available to you. Physical buttons,
Okay.
not just in software force touch buttons.
Okay.
I'm still so confused. I don't know why they have a shifting setting in an electric car.
Oh, actually,
Well, it's the reverse neutral drive.
Oh.
Yes, like literally your shifter.
okay.
You've just explained so much to me. Because I was sitting there around like, the whole point of an electric car is that you don't have a gearbox, that you don't have a transmission to shift.
Yeah, so Tesla removed this on their Model X and Model
Okay.
S's and their newest refresh. Met with a lot of
No.
criticism.
I want a handle. I want to be able to say you're parked.
The wild thing though is the government approved it. The I forgot what agency it is.
The NTSA
they approved
probably.
it.
Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
National
sure.
Highway
I hate it though.
something.
Yeah,
This might
they
be a
approved it,
topic for another day, but
Well,
we'll talk
Yeah.
about self-driving cars in general another day as just a general
Or-
like, hey.
or right now, because what
do
is
you
it?
want this to go for 3 hours?
No. I was gonna say Tesla unveiled a $199 a month full self-driving subscription plan, but there's a catch. And long story, that catch is you have to basically sign a disclaimer saying like, "Hey, I'm not actually going to use self-driving. I'm still going to pay attention. So this is just a privilege, not a right type thing." So, yeah.
I mean,
That's
that's what it
kinda-
says already if you have a self-driving Tesla now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just basically saying you're going to have version 3 of the FSD hardware, and basically you're going to have to pay the subscription fee each month to be able to use the full self-driving car. So, I don't know.
That's a little
Interesting.
You do have to pay
Subscription
to upgrade
models
it
are
as
only
well,
becoming
though,
more
but that's
popular.
probably because it doesn't have a sufficient GPU.
Right.
Mhm.
So, we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I don't know. I hate that's the very premise of a self-driving car.
Yeah,
Just because like everything can get hacked, man. Even
And-
non-self-driving cars, someone could probably hack and crash you.
yeah, you basically shear off some sort of like tie rod or something. You can cause
No. I mean,
problems.
I'm pretty sure that like just a normal car nowadays, someone could just hack and kill you with. They could just force your accelerator down until you hit a wall at 100 miles per hour.
I'd like to think they're a little more secure than that.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
you say that, but the thing is, everything can be hacked.
yes.
I
yeah,
don't
so-
care what anyone says about anything, everything can be hacked.
So here's
with that philosophy though, you can never be certain or safe. And in that case, why even have any technology at all? Because your computer can get hacked right now. Your phone can get hacked right now. So why have a computer or a phone? If you
Because it's
if you
not
live
going
with
to
that
kill me.
mentality though, well,
Because
I
it's not a
mean,
2-ton death machine. That's why.
yeah, but in the case of like hacking, let's take your phone for example. Someone could potentially get your location and stalk you, and that's how they could ultimately get you.
Oh yeah,
They could
sure.
snub you. So in that
But I
case, I
can.
have a phone.
Okay, how do I
This phone
mitigate
can
that
hack
in
it
a
and kill
car
you.
though? I can mitigate someone trying to kill me by purchasing a weapon or having knives on me or anything like that. I don't have a way to mitigate that on a car.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think this is a new thing that you could only get hacked if you had self-driving features in a
Oh
car.
no, I'm not saying. I'm saying in general these days you can do it in all of them,
Yeah.
and it's just something that makes me uncomfortable.
I mean,
It's
in our live chat here, one of our friends asked, "Do you guys trust a computer driving for you?"
I
hmm.
mean, probably. I
This
don't see it as.
is. Go ahead, Ryan.
I don't think a computer is going to be any worse than like your average driver, to be honest.
Okay.
Especially if they're 16. I don't think computers are going to be worse than like I'd say 40% of drivers who are on the road because I've seen some stupid things. Uh,
So
you do have edge cases where like something happens that a normal person would never crash and the computer completely misinterprets it and crashes, which is
Right.
why they explicitly say, hey, this self-driving isn't ready for you to just take your hands off the wheel. You need to be paying attention.
Right.
That's
Right.
not how
mhm.
people use it, but that's how they tell you you should be using it, and for good reason.
There's the thing.
I think a big reason why though, and this kind of leads into what the point I was going to make. I think a big reason for that is because there is external uncertainty, right? If you have a self-driving car in a field of other cars that aren't self-driving, the car has to react to very random, potentially random or very random situations that it can't quite predict, every possible thing happening. To me, I would really only trust a car or a computer to drive me to where I want to go as long as the entire environment is contained within that same parameter of all cars are self-driving. You really can't trust, in my opinion, a car or a computer to drive you, self-automated driving, unless all the cars on the road are self-driving. And to that point, maybe even, and this is kind of where I'm not even sure about how much or how well I feel about this. Maybe even only if the cars can talk to each other and tell each other what they're going to do so they can respond better.
I hate it.
And why I say I'm not really sure how I feel about this is because there's a bit of a privacy thing there, I suppose. And this is where Ryan, I can see your point about people kind of hacking and seeing what you're going to do, the predictability of it, or seeing what the computer is going to do for your car, and then using that against you maliciously. But in my opinion, I really would only trust a self-driving car if all the other cars around me are self-driving, because that takes the error down significantly, which then also in turn decreases the risk significantly.
Sure, I don't know how solvable of a problem that is just from a pure like coding perspective. I don't know if that's a tractable problem that you can solve in enough time to be able to like make real-time adjustments on a car.
Who knows? That's a good
And
conundrum.
maybe you can, maybe you can't. It's a tricky question.
Right. Right.
Obviously, I should probably be the person who can answer it, but I'd need a lot. I'd have to.
I
There's a
mean,
lot of work involved in that that I'm not
from
willing to put in. But
there you go. For my point of view on this, I think I would trust a computer to drive a car for me, assuming that there are no foreseeable hazards in the way. Like if it's open
sure.
road on the highway, I am cruising. All let's go. Like, but in the city, like if I'm in downtown Chicago and I'm trying to use self-driving in the
Oh my
middle of the
gosh, has
loop,
anyone gotten jacked out of a Tesla
I don't want to like
while it's trying to drive itself?
I don't want to deal with that in self-driving mode. I don't want to deal with that in general. But like I just feel like self-driving would make a big stink about it if it sees like a pothole in the road and thinks something was there or something like that. You know what
Oh
I mean? Just
boy.
just cause more of an issue than it would be of just a human driver actually driving. So
Hmm.
who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to.
So the computer overcompensating and causing a greater potential
Not
move or a mistake.
not even that,
Listen,
just causing more traffic by being inherently dumber.
Ah,
I don't
So,
know. I'm sure
or I
every
suppose,
engineer
right?
who's
It's not
working
quite
on this.
dumber.
huh, I didn't know this. Teslas don't have spare tires. I didn't know that. Huh. Yeah. I
I'm sure
guess
everyone who looks and
Hmm.
designs this stuff though is thinking
is
about all
that
those
true?
problems. I wouldn't be surprised. But
Are
if
they
the
really trying to
I'm
They
save
sure.
money
don't.
that
That
much?
is true. They don't have a spare tire.
Wow.
I didn't know
That's got to
that.
be a cost-saving measure, and even then, that
Regardless.
doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't feel like designing a wheel well in it.
Who knows?
Oh, I wonder if they couldn't, or if there was space considerations because of the battery.
Good
I mean, I
point.
don't think so. They have a whole front trunk, don't they?
That too.
And a
You would
back
think
trunk.
they would put it there, but then again, that's the trunk because I mean, isn't there seats in the back, right? So where are
I
you
thought
going
there
to
was a
put
front and a back trunk.
in the
Yes.
Model S? I believe there's seats in the third row, and even then, it's a small. Okay, well, even then, it's
I
a
don't know,
small
man. I
trunk.
don't
It's a
drive a
small
Tesla.
trunk. So they wanted to. I mean, of course, that's kind of like the whole thing with electric cars. You have a frunk. Um, but to that end, I mean, if you've got a small trunk, the frunk is kind of like a big thing that you kind of have to have. So putting a wheel in there would really decrease the amount of trunk space, total trunk space. Um, that's interesting, though.
I
I've
don't know.
never
I think we're
considered that.
Huh.
veering off
Are
topic very quickly.
Yeah, interesting. Definitely interesting. Just final note on that. He goes, the fire is made, or excuse me, the tire is made completely different. If you pop it, you have to wait about an hour for somebody to come and replace it for you because it's like a different tire. Interesting.
Oh,
But you can't replace it yourself. It's practically a computer. Huh. Who knew?
oh. So not only probably did they not have enough space in the car to put a spare in, but also just because it's so complex that the average consumer couldn't. Which
I could see it.
I
Then
guess.
never want
Uh,
to buy a Tesla because I've popped tires on the road in the middle of nowhere.
There you go. Well, there's your excuse not to.
hmm.
Welp, moving on, we have our obligatory NFT article coming up now.
Okay.
And Grislow, you sent this one in. This is an
Hold on, let me
article
check the
here.
crypto market.
No, this is about the Heat here. The Miami Heat are launching an official commemorative NFT collection titled 15 Strong to celebrate the 2006 NBA playoffs and when they won. And I'm not a huge fan of this because they beat the Bulls. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. And they're opening up NFTs. They actually have some of them open for bid right now. They're kind of cool. Um, Bunch of like commemorative NFTs. Actually, I wonder if I can see like how much it's going. Okay, sale ends today. $14,000 for this one. The card NFT is currently 2,000, and then the banner is currently another 2,000. So kind of crazy, that's for sure. I don't
I think
know.
the cool thing that goes along with this, though, is that you can get, or the way they phrase it is the buyers who do successfully get their bid put in and it comes back good, is that they can get the physical copy of these different NFTs. So, for example, you could get a replica 2006 NBA Finals championship ring, which I don't know if you know this, but they're a little hard to come by. And not only that, but it'll be personalized, which I think is very cool.
Huh.
I would love to have something like that for the 2016 World Series champ Cubs, repping right now, or at least the Cubs right now. Brady said they're not doing so hot right now, but I hope they do better. I think it's a really cool thing as a sports fan. It's no shock to me that they're doing this. It's the 15-year anniversary of that first NBA Finals win, and I think it's very cool just as a sports fan to be able to have and own a piece of that history where it's really either hard or impossible to do that prior. And some of these are exclusive, like that card.
Right.
And it'll be a 1-to-1 replica too of the banner and the ring. And hardcore sports fans really, I know, would really pay top dollar for that. So I think this is very cool, and I'd like to see other teams doing this coming in the future. And I don't want to say guarantee, but I wouldn't be surprised if either of the teams that won the NBA Finals this year do something similar, because both teams, no matter who wins, are going to have very historic wins. The Bucks haven't won since the '71, and I can't remember if the Suns have even won a championship. But I can't imagine this is going to be a one-off type situation.
We'll see. We will see.
Plus, team gets to make a little more money.
As if they don't have enough. But okay. It's the Heat. So, how about
Ryan, thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know. The whole crypto market in general is down right now, so
oof.
NFTs in general, though, I don't know. I go back and forth on them a lot. I very much like. I really appreciate kind of the idea of using them as like a badge of authenticity. Like, hey, I have this, but like that's really just verifying that I do own this and I'm the one who purchased it.
Right.
Which even allows it to be done, semi-anonymously as well for like big art transfers and stuff. That's always the use case that I've looked at and thought that's really cool. And I guess,
definitely.
for like card games and stuff too, it makes a lot of sense. Like
Well,
online card games, instead of having unlimited these, now you can actually like gauge rarity and stuff.
Well, what about a NFT Resort? The next article we have here is about the world's first NFT resort by Labs Group, beginning auction on July 15th. And I skimmed through the article, but long story short, it looks like it's basically an NFT as a timeshare. Your NFT is basically a timeshare at this place.
I hate this.
I actually, so I sent this in the chat, and I think this is actually really cool for a few reasons. Number one, there is no sort of geographical or travel restrictions for people that want to purchase the timeshare. So that's one. Number two, it also is very safe for the company that's selling these, because the NFT is traceable. And so if someone backs out, or there's some sort of situation where someone kind of like defrauds the company on this timeshare, they're able to trace it back. And so it's safe for the company to do this. And finally, I do think that it just kind of makes sense. And it's weird. It's weird, right? We talk about NFTs as collectibles, as things you can trade. But have you ever thought about like trading your timeshare? And it's an easy way to do it. And they even said in the article that you'll be able to, if you want, like trade your condominium or timeshare NFT, with people that want to acquire it. So I think it's really cool in that regard. I'd like to see other companies do it, just because it seems like there's some good upsides to it.
Hey,
They're doing some other sort of NFT sales for buying naming rights for the place outright, and then also for naming the individual rooms. So there's more money to be made there. Again, good for the company. But I just think it's a really, really unique application of this kind of surging thing, NFTs. I really like it. I don't know if you. I sent the.
Well, yeah, I was going to pull
the folder with the pictures.
Yeah,
If you want to feel the pictures.
You shared with me. There's this like rendering folder on Google Drive here, and
yeah, this is what they shared.
Yeah, and it's like all of these like kind of dome looking things, like these geodesic domes. Like that. It's pretty cool looking. It reminds. I hate to be this way, but the terrain reminds me a lot about Minecraft. But
well, that's
so this sort of setup is kind of called or sort of similar to or supposed to be in the area of glamping, so kind of glamorous camping. So you have these little pods that you stay in. and it's in a really beautiful area. I believe it's close to an airport. I think it's in Bali.
Let's
Um,
see. It says Ba- Banyuwangi Airport, a 30-minute flight from Bali. So yeah,
yep.
you're right. So I don't know. It's interesting concept. I wouldn't take part in it personally, but interesting concept. And like,
I like this idea, and like I said, I want to see more different applications of NFTs. I think it's a perfect example of a really cool way to use NFTs in a unique way that has some sort of hidden benefits that you wouldn't typically think of.
I mean, I don't know. It's still one of those things where it's like it's worth as much as you think it is. Like it's do I really value this specific thing for X number of dollars? Every week it seems we're going through another NFT story for something selling for an absurdly high price. Like, do I yes, it may represent something physical, but does that truly warrant the amount of money that I am putting out for this specific asset? I don't know. I guess I'm very much so stuck in the physical world, or at least even like software. Like I'll pay out the wazoo for software. That's fine. It's just because I can get value from that and it's useful, and I still have, like, if I wanted to, I could put it on a flash drive and say this is my software. Like that type of thing
I
for me
think
at least.
in this case, I think it's more of the pros of NFTs in general. So the
Okay.
traceability of them, the ease of purchase, and the applicability of that to the timeshare market.
Okay. I
And in that
I can
case,
see
it makes a
that.
lot of sense. And
Hmm.
not only that, but the ability to change hands very easily.
True. True. So we'll see.
I don't know. From what I
And
understand, timeshares can largely end up being scamish. Uh, from my understanding, which granted I'm not, I haven't been invested in timeshare before. Regardless, I do see the use for like, I kind of like it as a way to verify physical things, right? Like it seems like a good technology for that
Hmm.
to be able to say like, hey, this is this contract. This is a unique thing generated from the contract. There is the worry about it getting stolen. Uh, and how that would work out, how you file for, hey, this is stolen versus, hey, someone bought this off me and now I'm defrauding them.
True.
uh Maybe someone else has already worked that out, who knows, but
Who
I
knows?
do, I like the idea of like using it as a contract.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Don't like
mhm.
the idea of timeshares
Our
on the whole.
and to your point, Ryan, in the chat, one of our friends goes, "If you make money to afford a timeshare, wouldn't it make more sense to invest it into your own property?"
Exactly.
There, I
It's
agree.
fair.
End of
Fair.
discussion. We're no kidding. But yeah, I definitely agree in that with that sentiment there, and I wouldn't just buy a timeshare just because it was an NFT at this point in the game, at
Oh
least.
no, no, no,
So,
no. I mean, I think the point you made a point a few minutes ago, Fitz, where you said that NFTs change, value, and different NFTs do change value, right? But these other NFTs that we're seeing are based off of like collectibles.
right,
Collectibles will fluctuate just based off of how the perception of um, how valuable they're worth, what their worth is. In this case, it's more of it not only is it's used for verification and that sort of thing, but also I guess you can look at the price of the NFTs as a sort of popularity of the resort. If people end up really liking this resort, the price of the NFT might go up. If the price goes down, it might indicate that people aren't really buying them or using their timeshares as much.
right,
Um, it's this in this situation, it's sort of tied to more of a grounded sort of rating based versus some sort of collectible that's kind of not tied to, but more associated with, you know, just what it is at the time, what people think about at the time. Pokemon cards and all kinds of collectibles in that regard skyrocketed in price during the beginning of the pandemic. But who's to say that their value is going to stay there for another 10 years, or if it's going to go down?
Who knows?
So it's interesting to see the application of NFTs and how the demand and the price is associated with the product,
Right,
or the
definitely.
thing
In this
that
specific
you're getting
instance,
from it.
though, timeshares I think are notoriously hard to pawn off onto somebody else.
Right. And it's that way on purpose, but
It's this specific instance that I think I have more issue with than the idea behind it.
fair. Well, anyway, once again, our obligatory, we aren't financial advisors, yada yada. Please don't do this. We're just giving our
Oh,
perspective.
I don't think I said anything that's compromising. Here.
No. Not
don't think we
today.
have.
Not today.
I don't think we have. We
Okay.
haven't been speculating today.
There you go. There you go.
I think you're allowed to say you think something's a bad investment. You're just not allowed to say you think someone should buy something.
I think you're probably not allowed to say it's a bad investment if you are invested in the competitor or if you have any sort of skin in the game.
For sure.
Ah, man, I don't know what the rules are.
Which we are completely removed from here.
Well,
so I think we're okay.
Oh,
there
no,
you
that's
go.
not true. I'm in a lot of crypto.
Well, anyway, if you have a lot of money and stuff, how about you go to space? Richard Branson did it this week. He reached space on a Virgin Galactic flight. I actually watched this live last Sunday. And basically, Sir Richard Branson, after researching for 17 years, finally got up into space with the, I forget the exact name of the spacecraft, but excuse me, the VSS Unity. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then kind of rocketing off there, being weightless for a couple minutes, and then returning to Earth, which is really cool. And I think this is a brilliant launch mechanism. Personally, I think that is so cool. The fact that they're able to do something like this. But here's the kicker. He did that to purposefully snub good old Jeff Bezos, who's going to space tomorrow. They basically did that to snub Jeff Bezos. He's going up in the Shepard, the new
Jeff
Shepard
Bezos and his,
rocket. After 15 launches, this is the first one
how
with
I say
people.
this politely.
So, billionaire space race. If you have money, I guess you could buy some timeshares or in NFTs and
I think
just
someone I went to middle school with actually was someone I went to middle school, or I was in school with him for years. I think he was at the Branson launch actually.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, privileged access and everything.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
I don't know. He's some TikToker or something. I don't really know what people do with their lives now. I don't pay that much attention. I do have a comment on Jeff Bezos's rocket, and well, it looks rather I'm going to say phallic, and then leave it there.
Yeah. There should be a different picture. Yeah, there it is.
It's funny looking. It's funny looking.
It's funny looking.
Anyway.
Anyway.
I've got two comments.
It blows up with him in it.
Same thing about if the one that Richard Branson was flying and blew up. No more Richard Branson. In this case, no more Jeff Bezos and any of the other passengers.
I am not a financial advisor. Don't take anything I say seriously. Let's all short Amazon.
Actually, it is interesting that you did say, Warwick, you jokingly said that, because I believe I did read that either it was Virgin Galactic or just the parent company, Virgin, did take a dive in stock price after the launch last week.
What, people were just thinking like, oh, what if this goes badly? Did it recover immediately?
I don't know if it recovered. I do know that the stock did dip a bit, or at least a significant amount to where it would have been reported. So 2 points I wanted to make. One being there's currently a lot of debate and fair debate regarding the term going to space for these guys, right? So Richard Branson only went up to, I believe, like 86, just about over 86 kilometers above Earth. Now, for any space junkie or space nerds, and my fellow nerds knows there's this thing called the Kármán line, and the Kármán line is basically the kind of agreed upon height above the Earth at which we consider anything past that to be space, and that's at 100 kilometers. Now, it's funny that you said, Fitz, that Richard Branson did snub Jeff Bezos by going up first, but technically he did not go into space. So, technically speaking, Jeff Bezos, who's going at over 100 kilometers, I believe it's like 103, 106, it might be even a little more, will technically be going to space. That being said, apparently, I don't know what organization, and I can't remember where, I think it was in the article that was submitted about Richard Branson. Apparently, if you travel above 80 kilometers above Earth, you are considered an astronaut. So technically, everyone that is going last week or went last week and is going this week will be astronauts, can be considered astronauts.
I don't like
But
that. I don't like that.
only people that are going on the Jeff Bezos flight tomorrow morning will be considered truly by the international community of going into space.
Yeah.
So that was my point that I wanted to make.
I'm
The other
surprised
point is
Elon.
only a point. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm just surprised that Elon Musk, the future god emperor of Mars, hasn't gone up into space yet.
He has higher plans than just going into low Earth orbit. He wants to go to another planet. So
And
he's got higher.
He's sitting in the
He's got
corner.
higher sights.
He's sitting in the corner laughing his behind off because his space company's already wildly successful. Like,
Not only that, but he's laughing because SpaceX got the NASA contract over Blue Origin, and so he's got way more skin in the game, at least for future plans outside of typical people like you and I, rich citizens going to space. He's going to be making more money. He's got the government contracts already for the next Artemis space endeavors for NASA. But yeah, Elon Musk, he's sitting at this, you're right. He's sitting in the corner laughing. This is small potatoes to him. Really means nothing.
They're going, you fools, someday I will become the god emperor of Mars.
there you go.
So the second thing I wanted to bring up, which I think is what makes this flight cooler than the Virgin Galactic flight, is that of the passengers that will be on this flight, one of which is a woman, I can't remember her name, but she is going to be, I believe, the oldest person in space. Again, truly in space. But she
Wally
was part
Funk
of,
is her name. She's 82.
Yes, and she was part of a program called Mercury 13, comprised of women that were supposed to be going to space and becoming astronauts. But unfortunately, the program was scrapped and it just never came to fruition. And so of all the people in the crew of that sort of pilot program, she finally will be able to get her opportunity to go to space, which I think is incredibly cool. I love that Bezos is doing this. I don't recall who was on the attendance rolls or whatever for Richard Branson's flight, but I don't remember hearing anything about any really, really cool stories like this.
There was a Purdue alum on that the flight from Richard Branson. Yeah.
There's Purdue alums that always go to space. They have the cradle of astronauts.
There you go.
You don't need
Honestly, if anything, that's to be expected.
I'm not complaining.
We don't need Richard. And by the way, we don't need Richard Branson to go to space. There is like a small, he's kind of like an indie kind of rock star type of dude. Some people have never heard of him. His name is Neil Armstrong. Another famous Purdue alum. The list goes on and on. This guy was like the first person on the moon or whatever. But the guy, there was a Purdue alum on the Richard Branson flight who paid, big coin to go on.
What joke is going over my head that he said indie rock?
I don't know. I literally don't know.
The point I'm trying to make here is there are plenty of Purdue alums that have gone to space. This guy is the first person that paid over, I think it was $250,000 to go on the flight. Versus all these other astronauts who have done it, who've gone to space before him and have made far bigger advancements in their own right, and especially that no name might have been a better phrasing for you, Ryan. A no namer, that small guy, no one's heard of him, Neil Armstrong.
For sure. Well,
And
that
hold on, I want to take us to the dark place real quick though, because what if it blows up tomorrow? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to
That
do
has
anything.
nothing to do with financial advisors.
what are you going to
Yeah,
say now?
I'm going
Oh,
to say
no.
if it blows up tomorrow, let's just say the worst happens, God bless her soul, that lady's gone. Rest in peace. She died doing what she loved. The rocket blows up. Bezos is no longer with us. How hard do you think Amazon stock drops?
They already have a CEO. He's already exited from his role or his CEO role at the company.
Yeah, I know. I don't
So,
care about that though. I think regardless, there'd be a 10% dip.
I don't think their company would. Blue Origin definitely would.
Oh no.
They're two
both.
companies.
I think they're too related. Jeff Bezos is too famous to just affect the one company. I think Amazon would take a hit if something bad would happen. So,
But they really don't have anything to do with Blue Origin. Maybe they use AWS for some of their stuff, but it has nothing to do with Amazon Prime.
we're talking about Wall Street here. Mind you.
Yeah, stock market doesn't roll on logic. Stock market rolls on gut feelings.
Right.
I don't think, okay, and this is me speaking out of pocket, and I am not a financial advisor, so I will not impose or forcefully impose my opinion.
When are we getting those mugs, by the way?
Oh, yes. Well, if we get enough, if we can get a following maybe for it, I would love to do an order of mugs. I think that'd be really, really cool.
The hat just says, I'm not a financial advisor, but
to my point here, I really don't think that would really impact Amazon in the same way that I don't think if, God forbid, the VSS, I think it was Unity, if that blew up, I don't think that Virgin Mobile would see a dip in their stock price.
No, but Virgin Atlantic would. They built a flying thing that wasn't
Virgin Mobile.
I don't know. I know he owns a lot of things, but
because if he's not in the business like that, it's not the same.
Either way, I really just don't think that they're connected enough for there to be. And again, I don't know enough about the ins and outs of Wall Street, so I am not a financial advisor, and I cannot advise you on buying stocks for Amazon or for Blue Origin. But in my own opinion, I really don't think at the end of the day that a catastrophic, incredibly unfortunate situation like that could happen. And to be fair, I mean,
it's a spaceship.
It can happen anytime. No one thought, or I suppose a lot of people wouldn't have thought that any of the catastrophic and unfortunate NASA situations would have occurred, but they did. And it was for reasons that some people just were either overlooking or were not aware of. Not being said, and there's always a risk.
Yeah.
That being said, I still just don't think that, and we're being a dead horse here, but I don't think.
The only way we'll know for sure is if the worst comes to worst.
Well, we'll have to watch tomorrow and see what happens.
Yeah, but I suppose as a closing remark, sort of like causation is not whatever the term is.
Correlation.
You have it completely backwards.
Correlation. Yeah, thank you.
Correlation isn't causation, I think.
Yes, I think in the vein of correlation is not causation. I don't think that just because the two were created by the same guy, that doesn't mean that if something happens with Blue Origin, the stocks are going to dip with Amazon. I haven't looked at it, but I would be, at least in light of this current discussion, I would be curious to see if in the course of the past, I don't know, Blue Origin couldn't have been more than 10 years old or so, maybe 15 years old. It would be interesting to see if the price of the stock for either of the companies has been correlated in either way based off of one or the other's failures or successes.
2 points. One, I still think a lot of people operate off their guts when it comes to the stock market. So it might just be from like a gut perspective they do it. And two, he is a huge share owner in there, so that alone might affect how those go.
I can see it in your second.
I'm
Your
trying to
second.
appeal to the left side of your brain right now, even though I think the right side is a lot of times what drives people in the market. But then again,
I understand your
not a
second
financial
point.
advisor.
There you go. Well, on that note, I'm actually going
Speaking of
to.
not being a financial advisor,
Yeah, we're going to transition into our main story for today, and we have a treat for you today. This, so you may be wondering, why is this title like a this is weird, big Bitcoin bankrolling. And thank you to Grislow and Ryan for coming up with this one. This was a lot of fun. But the article we have for you as our closer today is about a Malaysian police force literally steamrolling 1,069 Bitcoin mining rigs.
nice.
They laid them out in a parking lot and literally destroyed them with a steamroller. Like, it just shows this thing just literally flattening them. And the article pokes a little bit of fun at it, calling it a crypto crackdown, literally. Um, but long story short, they seized 1,069 Bitcoin miners throughout the
Nice.
course of like I think 6 raids they mentioned. But the reason that they crushed these and all that stuff is they stole about the miners stole about $2.1 million worth of electricity from the Malaysian power grid, and basically were completely like um taking advantage of the system.
What do you mean
So
stole? Like, did they illegally hook into it and we're getting free power?
correct. Hmm.
Yep.
Mm.
A lot's worth. A
I
lot of
still
money's
don't
worth.
see why would you not just sell that to like a huge government and make a
So
bunch of money so you could
so
pay
in the
for your own
article,
shit.
yeah, it says police opted to crush the mining gear rather than sell it in accordance with a court order. So
The
it's a court
stupid court
order.
order. You could have made so much money and like fixed your roads.
It's not my country.
It's 1,000 mining rigs. Let's call it. I mean, a GPU these days goes for like
Well, these were ASICs.
700, 800 for an easy one.
These are ASIC miners. They're
Oh, they're all ASIC mining?
yeah. You can see here.
Oh, that
Yeah,
makes a lot more
they're all
sense.
ASICs right here. You can see them. I forget what those are called.
No, they're ASICs. That's
Yeah,
correct. It's a custom designed chip for mining.
yeah, but yeah, ant miners. That's what these are. Yeah, like yikes. That's there were a bunch of these. Like these are all Antminer L3 pluses or L3s or whatever.
That makes sense to me then because those are a lot more hard to sell. If it was like mining with, GPUs and all that, you'd just go and sell that, obviously.
Right, because you could still use the GPUs for other things, but in this
Yeah.
case they're just like completely dedicated mining hardware, and you literally can't do anything else with this hardware except for mine cryptocurrency.
I
So
think you could probably find a way to repurpose it for like a university to make a data center, maybe.
yeah, or do some research or something like that. But
I don't know.
I
That
don't know.
might be too much work.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I wouldn't go as far as crushing the technology, but maybe figuring out some other way. But yeah, stealing the electricity is
Government. There's not a lot of intelligent people don't tend to go into like high levels of the government. Hot take.
hot take. There you go. But from in terms of stealing the power to do Bitcoin mining, I think that is like genuinely terrible because um, the Bitcoin market is just so power hungry and so um, not friendly to the environment, that just stealing this power and something that's already somewhat harder to find in a remoter country like Malaysia, um, I
Yeah, it's
it's
just the
just
stealing part that annoys me.
yeah, it's a shame, but we will we'll see. I hope that that doesn't happen anywhere else, but definitely an interesting video to see. I recommend looking it up on YouTube. It pains me to see the technology getting crushed, But I always wondered what would happen. So now I guess I could die a happy
Mm.
man knowing that I saw some technology getting crushed by a steamroller. So it's the little things in life, right?
You're not laughing
I
too hard.
suppose.
There you go.
A little part of me does die inside to see all that technology going to waste, especially because I believe they said in the article that countries like China do end up auctioning off or selling the equipment that has been confiscated.
Well, if it's GPU equipment, it's easy for that stuff. I think maybe the best you can do is use it for like encryption, decryption. I
Well,
don't know.
I think what Grizzlow's kind of suggesting is even if they ship it somewhere else, like somebody would still buy it.
Oh yeah.
And not only that, actually, to that point, this is only contributing to something like this is only contributing to the greater problem of e-waste or not e-waste, but computer parts waste, right? We talk about, and I think we talked about on the show before, recycling, computer parts, giving them a new purpose. This does not help that problem. It only adds to that problem.
Right. Well, there we go. So, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, Grislow, I know you wanted to close out today, so I'll let you close out.
Well, shoot. All right. Well, I've been trying to find the Facebook page name, and I can't find it right now. But
It's Tech Talk Nation.
thanks. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I know that the Twitter is a little different. But that being said, thank you everyone for tuning in to Tech Talk Nation today. We really appreciate you guys watching us, listening to us, and even commenting today. I think I speak for everyone else here when I say we'd love to hear it, we'd love to see it, and we'd like to see more of it. So please continue to comment. We like answering your questions, and kind of gives us a bit of a fresh breath of air when we're talking about these topics. But please do follow us on Instagram at Tech Talk Nation, on Twitter at Tech Talk Nations. That's Tech Talk Nation with an S at the end. And then also follow us on our Facebook page, Tech Talk Nation. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and tune in next week for a new episode of the podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We will see you next week. Thank you for all of our co-hosts for today for tuning in, giving us your insights, and we'll see you later.
Alrighty, see you guys, and I'm going to close out one thing here because our friend Akram in the chat here asked if I could get a shout out. Thank you so much, Akram, for tuning in today, and hope you're back next week, and hope everybody else is back next week as well. It has been wonderful today, and we hope you have a wonderful week. Alrighty, see you guys. Have a great night. Bye-bye.